Have you ever stopped to think, what if at this very moment, another version of you exists, living a completely different life? Maybe right now in a parallel universe you're a millionaire. In another, maybe you were never even born. And what if I told you that someone discovered how to cross into those realities? But what seemed to be humanity's greatest dream turned into its worst nightmare. The story begins with David, a brilliant physicist obsessed with the concept of the multiverse. He believed that every decision we make opens a new reality. If you choose to turn left, there's a universe where you turn right. If you survive an accident, there's another where you don't. And David wanted to prove it no matter what. After years, he built a device called the Mirror, a metallic arch covered in cables and lights, capable of creating a fissure between dimensions. In the first test, he could only see blurs and silhouettes. But on the third attempt, the impossible happened. David crossed Morad, and on the other side, he found an almost identical world. The streets were the same, the city was the same, but the people were different. He met colleagues who had died in his universe, alive and smiling in that one. He met himself, married with children, living a life he never had. And that's when obsession took over him. With each trip, David explored more and more versions of reality. In one, he was a wanted criminal. In another, president of the country. In another, he didn't even exist. It was like an addiction. The more he saw, the more he wanted to discover. But something was wrong. He began noticing shadows lurking in the corners of these worlds, beings that seemed faceless yet silently watching him, as if he wasn't supposed to be there. Until one of his journeys, when David found something he had never imagined, a universe where all of humanity had vanished. The cities were in ruins, nature had taken over, and the shadows were everywhere. One of them approached and, for the first time, spoke to him. You were never meant to cross. Each passage weakens the boundary. The more doors you open, the more worlds will be devoured. David returned terrified, swearing never to use the mirror again, but it was already too late. He realized something had crossed back with him. At first, they were small signs, reflections that moved on their own in the glass, shapes appearing in the corners of his home. But soon it became clear. The shadows were invading his universe. He tried to destroy the mirror, but the machine no longer shut down. It was as if it were alive, pulsing with energy, opening rifts on its own. And then, in desperation, David sought out his version in another universe to ask for help. But when he came face to face with himself, he heard the revelation that made his blood run cold. You still haven't realized, have you? You were never the first to cross. We've all done it in every universe, and now the shadows aren't coming for your world. They're coming from you. The screen of the mirror glowed intensely, revealing thousands of versions of David, all staring at each other, all repeating the same mistakes. And behind them, millions of shadows spreading, devouring each universe one by one. The last sound David heard before being swallowed was his own voice in thousands of different versions, speaking in unison. The multiverse is not infinite. It is a prison, and we were the ones who opened the cell. And now I ask you, when you look into a mirror, is it really just your reflection? Or is it someone in another universe trying to cross over here?